in simple English. Husband and wife are mashpia and mekabel. Usually we think of mashpia and mekabel as an inyan pnimi, like a Rav and Talmid. Rav and Talmid affect each other because of closeness. Even though the Rav knows much more than the Talmid, if you're talking about a real Rav, so the distance between their intelligences is great, and that's why the Rav has to lower himself and be metzamtzem himself and find a mashal for what he wants to say so that the Talmid can understand it. Yet, what brings them together is a common characteristic. They both have seichel. More or less, but they both have seichel. The biggest teacher, no matter how smart he is, cannot teach a dog or a chair. The Talmid, no matter how stupid he is, has to have seichel. Otherwise he's not a Talmid. So they have to have seichel in common. And the question is, how do you connect a big seichel to a little seichel? So you do it through a mashal. What's a mashal? Seichel. So it's all one thing, and the effect of the teacher's seichel on the student's seichel is because of their similarity, because of their closeness. Not because of how much smarter the teacher is. On the contrary, that's the challenge. The smarter the teacher is, the harder it is to be mashpia. Because hashpa'ah haseichel is a hashpa'ah pnimis that comes from closeness. That's why a real good teacher who is really a mashpia doesn't give information. I mean, he gives that too, but that's not the chachma. To sit down and teach a kid a Mishnah, it's not a big chachma. If you're a really good teacher, the kid will learn it easily. If you're not such a talented teacher, you'll have to say it 4 times. But for the kid to memorize the Mishnah, you don't have to have that much talent. The Rav doesn't have to have that much talent. Just has to have patience. 10 times, 20 times, still get it. The real talent of a mashpia is that his seichel, the way his mind works, the way his reasoning, his brain operates, becomes the student's way of thinking. He gives the student not a Mishnah, he gives the student a way of thinking, a way of looking, so that he gets the Mishnah the way the Rav got the Mishnah. This makes sense? Chushe harav nasim chushe hatalmid. You start to think like your teacher. That's why very often in Pirkei Avos, the Rebbe explains a Mishnah, Rabbi so-and-so said, azay and azay. Why did he say that, and how did he know that? Because he was a Talmid of Rabbi so-and-so. And Rabbi so-and-so was good at this, so the Talmid developed that same talent. That's called Hashpa'ah from close up. Not only do you exchange information, you pick up the pnimizdike function of the Rav, and it gets transferred to the Talmud. The information in the Mishnah is not pnimis. It's not the pnimis of the Rav. It's a Mishnah. The pnimizdike hashpa'ah comes, you get the talent, you pick up the same koyach, the same koyches that the Rav has. That's why if you don't understand completely what the Rav said, then you have to quote it in his name. And then you bring Mashiach, and it's a big maila. Eimer davar b'shem eimrei. Once you understand it, you don't have to quote it. Because you got it. Now it's your thing. Although you got it from somebody else, but now that it became yours, this is you. You don't have to quote yourself. This is the way your brain thinks. If it doesn't think that way, and yet you're saying it, then you have to be honest. You have to say, my brain doesn't think like this. I heard this from somebody else. But once your brain thinks that way, what are you quoting for? This is how it is. Which, by the way, people get into the habit, every time they open their mouth, the Rebbe says, it's not good. It means that all these years you've never learned anything. And you hear by the Litvische, by the Misnagdim, the Gemara daf such and such, do you know anything yourself or not? The Chazal say, can you tell me what you say? What do you say? It's like, the Chazal say that the Eibishter created the world. Yeah, and what do you say? You're not sure. You're quoting. You heard in the name of that God created the world. You're still not sure about that? So once something becomes your thinking, don't quote. Stop quoting. And even to say, I think, means you still haven't gotten it. It's just a thought, or is it a fact? Once you get something, that's it. That's the way it is. That's the thing. That's the reality. You don't quote anybody, including yourself. That's Hashpa'ah Pnimis that comes from closeness. In order for that to happen, you have to find more and more similarities. What does that mean? You have a disagreement with your wife. On whatever, on taste, on opinion, on plans, on the future, on raising children. What do? You want to have Hashpa'ah on her. What do? In Hashpa'ah Pnimis, you have to bring your minds closer together. Which means what makes sense to you has to start making sense to her. If you simply say, look, it's my house, it's my money, we're going to do it my way. You may win, you may get it your way, but that's not called Hashpa'ah Pnimis. Hashpa'ah Pnimis means you win the person over. Just like, how does Seichel affect Midas? Not by dictating. If Seichel dictates, you have to have Avas Hashem, you're never going to get Avas Hashem. Midas don't respond to a dictator. Midas respond to an appeal. If you appeal to the Midah, then the Midah responds. Seichel knows how to appeal. That's what Seichel means. You know how to talk to a person. You know how to get them closer to your opinion.